Under the sands of Egypt, there are 25 granite containers, each one weighing 100 tons. No engineer alive today can fully explain how they were made. In India, there's an iron pillar that hasn't rusted in 16 centuries, while modern steel surrenders to corrosion within years. In Iraq, archaeologists dug up a battery, assembled 2,000 years before Alessandro Volta presented his invention to the world. These objects don't belong in textbooks, not because they're fake, but because every textbook we've ever written was authored by people who never truly understood what they were looking at. Today, we're going through 7 real ancient discoveries, each one documented, each one sitting in a real museum you can visit tomorrow. And every single one of them looks like it was accidentally left behind by travelers from a future that never happened. We'll start with the heaviest mystery, in the most literal sense of the word. Object 1, the Serapeum boxes, Egypt. It's 1850. A French archaeologist named Auguste Mariette is surveying the desert near Saqqara, northwest of the step pyramid of Djoser. He spots a stone sphinx poking out of the sand. He keeps digging. Then another sphinx, then another, an entire avenue of them, leading to the sealed entrance of a subterranean complex. To break through the stone doors, his team had to use dynamite. What they found inside stopped everyone cold. A labyrinth of tunnels cut directly into the limestone bedrock, and lining both sides of the largest gallery, 25 enormous boxes carved from black and rose granite. Each one 4 meters long, 2.5 meters wide, 3 1/3 meters tall. The lid alone weighs 30 tons. The full container approaches 100 tons. That's the weight of a fully loaded freight train car, tucked inside a narrow underground niche. When Marriott cracked one open with explosives, he found nothing inside. Smooth walls, empty silence. Official archaeology calls this place the Serapeum and claims these were burial chambers for sacred Apis bulls. But here's the problem. No bull remains were found in any open box. No mummification residue. No ritual artifacts. Nothing that says burial to any reasonable observer. What was found is far harder to explain. Engineer Christopher Dunn spent 49 years in high-precision manufacturing. Now he brought industrial calibers into the Serapeum with a tolerance of 2/10,000ths of an inch. The results were staggering. The interior walls of these granite boxes are flat to a level of precision, achievable only with CNC machining. The corners are exactly 90 degrees. The internal radii in the corners measure just 4 millimeters. Dunn approached an American firm and asked, "Could you replicate this box from a single piece of granite?" Their answer was direct. Even with an unlimited budget, the best they could do was assemble it from 6 separate slabs, but whoever made the Serapeum boxes cut each one from a single solid monolith, quarried in Aswan, more than 800 kilometers away. The granite used scores a 6 on the Mohs hardness scale. Some boxes are carved from diorite, which is even harder, and the tunnels themselves are so narrow that 2 people can barely pass each other sideways. There is physically no room to maneuver levers, cranes, or a crew large enough to rotate 100-ton objects around tight corners and lower them into niches with 40 centimeters of clearance on each side. One unfinished box still sits in the middle of a tunnel, as if the builders simply walked away mid-task and never returned. The crudely scratched hieroglyphics on the outer walls look almost embarrassed next to the mirror-polished interiors, like graffiti sprayed onto a spaceship, as if the inscriptions were added thousands of years later by people who found the boxes and had no idea who made them either. Object 2, the Antikythera Mechanism, Greece, 1901. A group of Greek sponge divers get caught in a storm near the island of Antikythera, and the captain sends a diver down to wait out the weather, and the man surfaces screaming. He's seen bodies on the seafloor, dozens of them. The captain dives down himself. What he finds isn't a graveyard. It's a Roman shipwreck from around 60 BC, buried under 60 meters of water. The bodies are marble statues. Among the scattered coins and sculptures is a dull, greenish lump of corroded bronze. It sits in a box at the National Museum in Athens for 2 years, before a politician named Spiridon Stais notices a crack in the surface and spots a gear inside, a small, perfectly cut gear in a 2,000-year-old object. The press called it a sensation. Skeptics called it a hoax. Then, early 2000s, X-ray tomography settled the debate permanently. Inside the lump, 37 interlocking bronze gears. The largest, 13 centimeters across, carries 223 precisely cut teeth. The entire device is about the size of a laptop. It calculated the positions of the sun, the moon, and all 5 visible planets. It predicted solar and lunar eclipses with a cycle of accuracy that European science wouldn't match for another 1,500 years. It tracked the Olympiad calendar. It displayed the phases of the moon. And here's what makes engineers go quiet. The mechanism accounted for the fact that the moon speeds up and slows down at different points in its elliptical orbit. To model this, the device used 2 gears mounted on a slightly offset axis, a differential mechanism. The same engineering principle that allows the wheels on your car to rotate at different speeds when you turn a corner. The gear teeth are so uniform, they couldn't have been filed by hand. They look stamped. The inscriptions on the back panel, recently decoded through tomography, turn out to be a detailed instruction manual. The front panel originally had color-coded pointer balls, fiery red for Mars, gold for the sun. Researchers from University College London called the original builder a genius who synthesized Babylonian astronomy with the mathematics of Plato's Academy. Whoever built this device understood the cosmos at a level the rest of humanity wouldn't reach for 20 more centuries. The Roman orator Cicero described a similar device, built by Archimedes in Syracuse, which means the Antikythera Mechanism wasn't unique. It belonged to a whole tradition of precision astronomical instruments. We have exactly one survivor. Object 3, the Iron Pillar of Delhi, Atindia. In the courtyard of the Quwwat-ul-Islam Mosque in Delhi stands a 7-meter-tall iron column weighing more than 6 tons. A Sanskrit inscription links it to King Chandragupta, the second of the Gupta dynasty, roughly the 4th century AD. It has been standing in the open air for 16 centuries, through monsoon rains, through scorching summers, through centuries of pollution and humidity. It has almost no rust. Normal iron in Delhi's climate grows a thick crust of corrosion within a few years. The Eiffel Tower has to be repainted every 7 years just to survive. In the 10th century, a cannonball struck the Delhi pillar at 4 meters height and left nothing but a dent. Scientists have been trying to crack this since 1912, when British chemists first scraped samples. The answer finally came in 2003, when Professor Balasubramaniam of MIT Kanpur published a landmark study using X-ray diffraction, electrochemical testing, and electron microscopy. Here's what they found. The pillar's iron contains roughly 1% phosphorus and almost no sulfur or manganese. This precise composition triggers the formation of a crystalline iron phosphate layer just 1/20th of a millimeter thick across the surface. This layer acts as a self-healing shield. Every time the pillar gets wet and dries out, the layer repairs itself at a molecular level. The ancient smiths created a natural analog to stainless steel. 15 centuries before stainless steel was invented, they achieved this through forge welding, heating, and hammering the iron, with techniques that preserved the phosphorus content without a single instrument or textbook. Modern metallurgy still hasn't precisely replicated the combination of composition and durability found in this column. 6 tons of bare iron, no paint, no coating, winning a battle that our entire industrial sector continues to lose. Object 4, the Lycurgus Cup, Rome. In the British Museum behind reinforced glass sits a Roman drinking cup from the 4th century AD. In normal light, it's jade green. Hold a light source behind it and it turns ruby red, as if lit from within. The transformation is total, immediate, stunning. The cup depicts the myth of King Lycurgus, ensnared in grapevines as the god Dionysus watches him die. The carving technique, called cage cup or diatretum, involves casting thick glass and grinding it down to a delicate latticework of figures. It is extraordinary craftsmanship on its own, but the color-changing trick has nothing to do with the carving. In the 1990s, researchers examined fragments of similar Roman glass under an electron microscope. Inside the glass, they found particles of a gold-silver alloy measuring around 50 nanometers in diameter. 1,000 times smaller than a grain of salt. When light hits these particles, the metal electrons begin to oscillate and alter the wavelength of the light passing through or reflecting off the surface. Silver produces the green in reflected light. Gold produces the red when light transmits through the glass. This effect is called plasmon resonance. Today it's used in nanosensors, medical diagnostics, and holographic technologies. Now, the Roman craftsmen somehow ground gold and silver down to invisible to the naked eye particles and fused them into the glass in a ratio of approximately 7:1, without microscopes, without spectroscopy, without any instrument we'd recognize as scientific. Researchers at Cambridge only managed to replicate a similar effect in 2014, using arrays of 16 million nanoparticles per millimeter. The Romans achieved the same result 16 centuries earlier. For a dinner party goblet, the secret died with the empire. The Lycurgus Cup is the only complete survivor of its kind. Today, researchers are studying this ancient principle to build ultra-sensitive water contamination detectors. A technology born for wine and myth may end up saving millions of lives 17 centuries after it was created. Object 5. The Baghdad Battery, Iraq, 1936. Workers laying a railway line near Baghdad unearthed an ancient tomb near the ruins of Ctesiphon, capital of the Parthian Empire. Among the artifacts, a clay jar 14 centimeters tall, containing a copper cylinder. Suspended inside the cylinder, not touching the walls, is an iron rod. The mouth of the jar is sealed with a bitumen stopper. Wilhelm Koenig, director of the National Museum of Iraq, immediately recognized the design. Two metals with different electrochemical potentials, separated by space for a liquid electrolyte. Corrosion traces on the walls indicated the presence of an acid, most likely vinegar or grape juice. American scientist Willard Gray built an exact replica and filled it with grape juice. It produced electric current. The device is capable of generating approximately 1 volt. Several jars connected in series could produce enough current for electroplating jewelry. Similar vessels were found at a neighboring site, alongside bronze and iron needles. The Roman physician Scribonius Largus, writing in the 1st century AD, described treating gout by applying electric torpedo fish to the patient's feet. The concept of using electricity in medicine was familiar to the ancient world long before science gave it a name. The Baghdad Battery predates Volta's invention by at least 16 centuries. In 2003, it was stolen from the Iraq Museum during the invasion. Its current location is unknown. We lost what may be the oldest electrical device in recorded history, and we can no longer even run a modern analysis on it. Object 6. The Schist disk of Sabu, Egypt. Same year, 1936. Archaeologist Walter Emery opens the tomb of an official named Sabu in the Saqqara necropolis. Beside the skeleton lies a cracked stone disc, 61 centimeters in diameter. It's carved from schist, a brittle layered rock that splinters with a careless touch. 3 curved lobes extend from a central hub, tapering to thin, curved edges. From above, it is indistinguishable from the impeller of an industrial centrifugal pump. The tomb dates to roughly 3100 BC, the First Dynasty, when tools were made of stone and soft copper. How do you carve thin, curved lobes from a rock that shatters if you look at it wrong? With 0 fractures, 0 chips. Nobody has answered that question. An engineer 3D printed a replica and mounted it inside a housing with a shaft. It pumped water powerfully and efficiently, functioning as a classical centrifugal impeller. Without the housing, the spinning disc created a stable water vortex of remarkable force. The aerodynamic properties were confirmed by Airbus engineers who printed their own copies, though the disc is not aerodynamically suited to act as a propeller. Egyptologist Cyril Aldred noted that the disc's form suggests it was modeled on an older metal original, something far more ancient. If the Sabu disc is a copy of a lost mechanism, we are looking at the trace of an engineering tradition that vanished before recorded history even began. 5,000 years ago, someone in the Nile Valley understood centrifugal force, and then That knowledge dissolved into the sand, along with the name of whoever invented it. Object 7. The Terracotta Army Weapons, China, 1974. Farmers digging a well near Xi'an crack through the ceiling of a buried chamber. They've found the Terracotta Army, more than 8,000 life-size clay warriors guarding the tomb of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of unified China. 700,000 workers built this complex. Less than 1% of it has been excavated. The statues get all the attention. Each face is unique, sculpted from a set of 8 base molds, and yet no two soldiers look alike. The artistry is staggering, but the real mystery came from the weapons. Over 40,000 bronze artifacts were pulled from the pits. Arrowheads, swords, up to 95 centimeters long, spears, crossbow mechanisms. After 2,200 years underground, the blades were still sharp. The surfaces shone as if forged yesterday. For 40 years, scientists believed the secret was chromium plating. Traces of chrome were found on the bronze, and chromate conversion coating wasn't patented in Europe until the 20th century. The find seemed extraordinary. Then, a 2019 joint study by University College London and the Museum of the Terracotta Army flipped the entire theory. The chromium was contamination from lacquer applied to the wooden handles and bamboo shafts of the weapon. It had nothing to do with the preservation of the bronze itself. The real secret was two things: the bronze alloy, with a high tin content, and the soil. The alkaline loess of Shanxi province, fine-grained, low in organic matter, created a near-perfect preservation environment. The bronze replicas buried in local soil during extreme testing over 4 months came out pristine. The same replicas buried in British soil were heavily corroded within the same period. The craftsmen of the Qin dynasty 2,000 years ago had selected an alloy and placed it in a burial environment that functioned as an ideal preservative, without knowing the words electrochemistry, alkaline corrosion, or tin-bronze metallurgy. Their work survived every empire that came after them. 40,000 blades lay in the dark, waiting, like an order no one ever canceled. Closing. We've walked through the underground labyrinths of Saqqara, dived to the floor of the Mediterranean, stood before an iron column that refuses to die, looked inside a Roman cup where nano-sized metal particles dance with light, held a battery 2,000 years old, spun a stone turbine from the dawn of civilization, and watched ancient blades outlast every army that ever carried them. Every single one of these objects is real, documented in a museum. You can buy a plane ticket, walk inside, and see them with your own eyes. None of them require aliens to explain. But every one of them demands we accept something uncomfortable. Our ancestors possess knowledge that we have spent centuries rediscovering and proudly calling breakthroughs. Maybe progress isn't a straight line climbing forever upward. Maybe it's a spiral, where every new turn begins from the same place of forgetting. The real mystery isn't how they made these things. The real mystery is why we keep acting surprised when we find out they could. Like and subscribe if you want to keep going deeper. Drop in the comments, which of these 7 hit you hardest?